Taylor, second. I'm fine out there, but when you two are in here, then like mine matches, just like mash. Okay, so now, I'd like us all to pause to seek guidance. Okay. Did we have approval of the agenda unless there's any additions or deletions? Okay.
If you have a request for an addition, if we could put the Fundy Rose on as F7. Fundy Rose? The fair.
Fundy, yeah.
Yeah, 4.7. Sorry. Fundy Rose.
I knew exactly.
I don't leave the house. Linda knew what I meant.
He's you're so used to me telling things like that, and now he says it. If there's nothing else, could I have someone move the amended agenda, please?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion carried. The minutes of October the 10th, 2023, is there any errors or omissions?
A motion to approve the minutes of October 10th, 2023. Second.
There's no errors or omissions anyone want to bring forward? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the presentation by Gus Green Waste Check. So could I have someone move for him to speak?
I motion to have Gus Green from Waste Check do his presentation.
And is there a seconder? I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Well, Mr. Gus? Come ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Warden. Is someone able to put my presentation up on the screen, by any chance?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you. So any of you who might have sat in the NSFM presentations on EPR, you'll recognize some of these slides, because what I've done is taken their presentation and sort of edited it down a little bit just to get the high points and things you really need to know. So on the open page there, I did give them credit because I stole some of their slides. So what we're talking about today is EPR for PPP. What does that mean? The PPP stands for Packaging, Paper Products, and Packaging-like Products. So it's basically everything you put in your blue bag at home, all those products. And extended producer responsibility is a regulation set whereby industry is now responsible for the cost of paying for those materials to be collected, processed, and marketed. Something that the municipalities have paid for since day one, some 20-odd years ago. The other thing about this type of program is it should incentivize industry to make products that are more easily recyclable. If they're the ones who are ultimately responsible for things that go in the blue bag, then they might be a little bit more careful about the products they choose to put into the marketplace. I'm on the next slide there, so I'm going to go forward that. Thank you. And as I mentioned, in Nova Scotia, that PPP EPR program will essentially include all the materials that are currently in your blue bag. Next slide. So we've been talking about this for a very long time in Nova Scotia. I am on the Provincial Priorities Committee, which is a subcommittee of the regional chairs that work with NSFM to write a framework for what EPR should look like in Nova Scotia. And we spent about 5 years doing that. We actually presented it to the government back in 2019. Then in 2021, they said that they were going to do something with extended producer responsibility. And finally, in August of this year, they passed regulations to make it happen. They estimate that's going to save Nova Scotia municipalities between $20 to $25 million a year. I personally feel this estimate is low because we've been talking about it for 10 years and we've been using the same estimate for 10 years. And I'm pretty sure prices have gone up since then. Next slide, please. So who are the program players in extended producer responsibility? Well, first of all, it's the producers themselves. They're the ones who are going to be regulated to develop and manage the program. And the first thing they will do is appoint a producer responsibility organization, or a PRO. And the PRO is the one who's actually responsible for the nuts and bolts of the system, what it's going to look like, how the material is going to be collected, where it's going to be processed, making sure that their members pay the fees that will fund the program. We don't know who the PRO is going to be at this point, but we're kind of confident that it'll likely be circular materials. They're a national organization that was founded by 17 of the leading food, beverage, and consumer product manufacturers in Canada. And also, some of you may know the name Jeff McCullum. Jeff was the CAO at Digby, Nova Scotia for a long time. And earlier this year, he left Digby to take a job as sort of the Atlantic Canada representative for circular materials. So there certainly seems like there's evidence to suggest that that's going to be the group that ends up being the PRO. If that is the case, I think that's good news for us. We've known Jeff for a long time. We have a good relationship with him. I personally have a good working relationship with him, so I think that's good news if that's the way it goes. The provincial government obviously is a player in this. They're the ones who produce the regulations that's going to make this all happen. But they also are responsible for setting targets. The industry will have recycling targets for various materials that will be expected to meet. Just to ensure that the system that we put in place achieves what we want it to achieve. And in any jurisdiction where you have these type of programs, you have to have a third-party administrator, someone who oversees the program, keeps the data, makes sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And the province has announced that Digby, Nova Scotia will be the administrator for our program. Again, also relatively good news because everyone established a relationship with Digby, Nova Scotia. And obviously, municipalities and regions are important because you guys are the ones who've been doing this for 25 years and the ones who've been paying the bills, and will for a little bit longer. Next slide, please. So that leads us to important dates and deadlines. As I mentioned, in August of this year, the EPR regulations were approved. January 1, 2024 is the last date for municipalities and producers to register with Digby, Nova Scotia. We'll talk about that a little bit more upcoming here. January 1 is also the date where the industry must announce who the PRO is going to be. The next milestone after that comes in October of 2024. At that time, the PRO has to have consulted with every municipality in the province by then, and they have to submit a readiness report to the Nova Scotia. It will give us the first real idea of what the system is going to look like when in December 1, 2025, it comes into full implementation. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as I mentioned, the PRO has to consult with every municipality in the province and submit that readiness report to Digby. And it has to include information about how the consultation with municipalities was handled, how any feedback was addressed that they received from the municipalities. And generally, it's going to be our first glimpse of a description of how industry is going to run this program when they take the keys in December 2025. What it's actually going to look like, and how they're going to meet all the standards and goals that have been outlined in the regulations of the province to that. As part of this readiness report, the PRO may begin to engage with municipalities for contracted services. And this is going to be important to our municipal units. Currently, you all have separate collection contracts required at hauling. Collect your organic material, your garbage, and your recycling. So you've got a couple of options here. You can become hands-off with recycling collection and say, no, industry, we don't want to do that anymore. It's up to you to figure out how we're going to stop it if we have some in the municipality pick out. But I think it makes more sense for you to, since you're still going to be sending that truck to every house to pick up garbage and organics, it makes sense for you to try and negotiate funding with the PRO to get them to subsidize your collection costs. As I mentioned, they have to be fully implemented by December 1st of 2025. That's when essentially we hand the keys over to industry and they'll be responsible for recycling going forward. And as I mentioned, Bert, as the administrator, will monitor the PRO and then all the producers to ensure compliance with the regulations. So that January 1, 2024 deadline we mentioned, that's when we have to decide when we're going to, we as municipalities, either opt in and be part of EPR or opt out and not be part of EPR. You you have the option. You can opt out if you want, and you'll continue to provide the service as you always have at your own expense. I can't really see any reason why you would want to do that. It certainly makes a lot more sense to opt in to the program. And it's going to mean some pretty significant savings for you, mostly in avoided costs. For example, last year the municipality Digby paid $43,000, I think, to special recycling for processing the material, and the town paid another $17,000. So that's $60,000 that you wouldn't have to pay anymore. So that's direct savings to you. You guys also, between the town and the municipality, paid almost another $40,000 in trucking that material to the special recycling facility in Kentville. Again, that's money that you wouldn't have to pay. Perhaps the biggest saving, though, is if you can negotiate an acceptable arrangement with the pro to subsidize the hauling costs. Because between the municipality and the town, you guys pay almost $800,000 a year in collection costs. So there's pretty good opportunity there for significant savings. For the purpose of the data call each year, we've always just estimated the recycling cost to be 1/3, since you essentially are collecting three streams: organics, waste, and blue bags. Whether or not we actually get industry to agree that that's what the actual cost is going to be another discussion. But if they were to agree that it was 33%, that would be a savings to the municipality of Digby of over $200,000 a year. So again, there's some pretty significant savings on the table here for you. So obviously, I've been in contact with all the CAOs and very much encouraging all of our members to opt into EPR. So far, the feedback has been very positive. At our board meeting today, we passed a motion that the municipalities of WasteCheck, the Edmonton Digby County, would opt into EPR, and you would negotiate with industry as a group with WasteCheck taking the lead. Maybe getting ahead of myself, but let's move on to the next slide, please. Contract negotiation. So while each municipality in the province has the ability or the right that they can negotiate on their own with industry, we're strongly encouraging that it makes more sense to do it as a group. And it's written in the regulations that municipalities can do it as a region, and we're certainly suggesting that that's the way to go. And we're working very closely with all the other regions, so we're not even really doing it as one region. All the regions, through the regional chairs committees, are really approaching this as a unit, as a group, a unified group, and I think we'll have more success negotiating with industry that way. We're kind of a very unique situation here in Nova Scotia. Generally, when EPR is brought into an area, we don't have an established mature recycling program like we do here, and we're almost 25 years into curbside collection of recyclables here. In our neighbors in New Brunswick that we're trying to bring in EPR, they don't have that. Some areas have collection, some areas have drop-off depots for recycling, some areas have nothing. This is going to be the first time in Canada that industry is walking into an area that has a very established, very mature system. I think that puts us in a very good position to negotiate with the industry. And any of the municipalities out there that operate a recycling facility, that doesn't apply to us, but there are ones out there, they may get the opportunity to bid on an RFP to provide recycling for the pro. Again, that's not us. Next slide, please. So next step, as part of that opting in and January 1 deadline to register, is just quite a bit of information that needs to be submitted to the BERT. We've been working on that information at WasteCheck since last spring. And we anticipate we have everything ready prior to the deadline without any issues. It's possible that we may have to reach out to individual municipalities if there's any information that we don't currently have, but it's well in hand. Also, as I mentioned or alluded to, our provincial priorities group through regional chairs is working closely with the BERT to make sure we get all our data submitted. And we'll be staying on top of it for you. So, as I mentioned at the board meeting today, we got the board passed a motion that all municipalities are in and that WasteCheck is going to take the lead. And I'm hoping that our individual municipalities will make similar motions. So I think that's it for my organized comments, if you can call them organized, and I'd be happy to try and answer any questions that you might have.
Anyone have any questions?
I answered them all, Gus, thank you, that was a good presentation. You did answer some of my questions in there.
Okay. Is anyone else in it? George, go ahead, please.
Do you have any data on other provinces, what the percentage of their, blue bags and stuff were? You said it was about a third, if it is a third, and do you have any other data on that?
We don't, because, again, our municipal units, when you guys have bid their contracts in the past, your collection contracts, you just bid it as a package. We've not sought individual pricing on the individual streams. So, again, for our purposes, just simplicity, we use 1/3. Some of our haulers now, some of our units, use separate trucks to collect the recycling. We're hoping that will give us more accurate information in terms of what the actual cost is to provide that service. The more accurate the data we have, the easier it will be, again, when we're negotiating with the industry on what they're going to pay. One other thing that I failed to mention is, in addition to the savings of avoided fees that you no longer will have to pay, there will also be some money, not a lot, but there will be a little bit of money paid directly to municipalities. And as part of their responsibility for the Blue Bag program, they're also going to be responsible for all the education associated with Blue Bags. So there will be some money provided for education as well. Typically in other jurisdictions, it's a dollar value per household. So there's a little money going to be coming in as well on top of all the money we save.
Any other questions? I'm hearing no other questions. Thank you for a very informative presentation. We have really appreciated it. I'm glad to see that questions have been answered and you were able to answer.
Yeah, we welcome any chance we can get to talk to our municipal units.
And I appreciate that. All right, we'll have a pleasant evening and take care of your horses.
Yeah, all right. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
bye.
See ya.
All right.
You get nice horses. Now, is there any unfinished business for the minutes of October 10th, 2023? Anyone would like to bring up? A lot of motions passed on council that got passed. Okay. The CAO report, meeting dates reminders. Actually, when you look at it, it looks different. Because on November the 21st, there's no meeting. November the 28th, there's at 5 is council. December the 5th at 5 is bylaw and policy, and December the 12th, committee of the whole. There is no meeting on December the 19th or December the 26th or January the 4th, 3rd or 4th. It's not listed, but I know there's none. Because it's part of the holiday, I think, isn't it?
Well, it's not, but I was going to be seeking clarity at the bylaw and policy meeting, so this helps me with my information. It's January 2nd.
Yeah,
which
yeah, that's the holiday. Because January the 1st is on a Monday, right? Oh, never mind, don't mind.
It's okay. We will be discussing what to do about January 2nd.
Yeah, sorry, I was
policy.
thinking, you know how you have Sunday and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what, because I've actually looked it up and said.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Tyler's over there saying, Jeff, stop talking. I know what he's saying.
Making Linda all
Yeah,
strange.
take it all, but take the holiday.
The CAO update. Is there any questions or concerns on the update?
I just wanted to bring your attention. Some of you may have seen, and I think some of you that were in the city last week may have heard it referenced in passing, but very quietly, the government had opened up consultations on the Coastal Protection Act. Without letting us know or helping us be part of the promotion of it. So we did see it, but I think they're wrapping that up very, very shortly, if not at the end of last week. So we will see where it goes. Communication on this file continues to be a struggle, but we'll see where they're going. But yeah, there was a few comments made on it in the city last week as well.
Department reports.
I did want to mention, I saw in Rob Hersey's report about the mail-in information with Canada Post with instead of the flyers, what he had found out going through Canada Post with our coastline newsletter. I thought for maybe a future meeting we could take a look at that. Price isn't that bad to get the coastline out to more homes with Canada Post than you would with the flyers. A lot of people don't get the flyers, they don't get our coastline. And our coastline, as you know, we talked about it in many committees and here, it's hard without a local paper to get our information out. So that would be something I'd like to talk
We
about.
can put it on
later.
the bylaw and policy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because that's not a lot of money, to me, to get information out to people. That's what we were trying to do. And our coastline's all we have, so.
Okay, I guess mine is, for the asbestos removal, did we have to have guys in and have Matt Boots to remove that?
Yep, they were properly, it's a company that specializes in it, so they sealed off the stairs going upstairs, and they had a seat and they did everything.
Yeah, because now, is there someone coming in to do floors in the near future?
Yeah, we're putting it together now, but we're gonna be doing a request for quotes for the flooring.
Yeah, I knew you'd found it, but I was like, oh, I better check and ask, because they always say, as long as you don't disturb it,
Yes.
you're okay.
Exactly.
Because once you play with it, I shouldn't say play with it, but you know, the words.
Yes, at the audit meeting, council had asked us to get it removed ASAP, so
Yes.
that's why we moved on it
Yeah.
right away.
No, I was glad, but I didn't know how we went ahead and did that. That was my wonderful. Any other questions from the reports?
I also wanted to mention it was nice to see that there's another use for the airport with the use of drones for firefighting and stuff like that. So.
It would be treated like an airplane.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. If there's no further business, then I have a motion to accept the departmental report.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carries. There's nothing under dangerous and unsightly. So next, we have had a request, a zoning change request. A person would like to subdivide their property. Would we go back and talk with Chris?
I would suggest that this one is real easy for this group to send this to PAC for
Yeah.
review. So
Because
the zoning change request is in the area of Conway that
Yeah.
didn't get updated. So it's a bigger discussion. We have talked about this with understanding the best way to handle this request. So if there was a motion to
I'll
recommend
move
to send
it
this to
to-
PAC.
I'll motion to move the request to PAC.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carries. Are you okay? You.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. I thought you were looking at him.
Doesn't know what you
Yeah, I was like, what's wrong with George?
No, it was just your eyes. I just.
I'm tired, I'm driving all day.
Okay, I just,
I had to go get my kids from here, I wrote down, it was a long day.
okay, I just was a little concerned there.
I don't know.
Some
Well,
letter,
I feel bad.
clarification. Yeah, clarification.
So this one is me. So two things happened after we passed this motion. So one, the province came out with a program, but two, we've got probably 2 letters, if not 3 letters, buried in this one motion, right? So
Okay.
the letter that we would write to the CRTC, that would be normally a bit unusual. What we're going to ask the CRTC to be doing is different than what we would ask the minister to do, and different than we would ask NSFM to do. So it was just a clarification on, do we want to just break this into 3 motions and send a letter to CRTC, send a letter to Kim Masland and copy Jill Balser, and then send another letter to, because the Federation of NSFM is to continue lobbying. To Minister Masland, it would be to continue developing, or the next phase of the program, and that CRTC is to continue providing funding. That's how I would see. So we just, one letter when Taylor and I put some work into peeling this out. So it's just, my suggestion would be we look at breaking that into 3 separate motions.
That
As
only
long
makes
as,
sense.
and I know, I think you were the original, I know that happened at council, and I'm bringing it to committee of the whole, I'm just trying to shorten our timeline, so we can just go with kind of a new motion or a suggestion.
You need a new motion tonight
For all three.
For all three, so-
Three
So
different
separate
ones.
motions.
I'll make a motion that council write a letter to the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission.
Should we add outlining or no?
Just cellular to encourage them to
Okay,
continue
to-
providing cellular funding.
Yeah, to provide cellular funding.
All right, is there a seconder for that motion? All right, Angela? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Next motion.
I'll motion that we send a letter to the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities to keep lobbying for cellular coverage.
With a copy to
Copy to,
Jill Balter.
I'm gonna copy Jill on that one. I'm gonna copy to Jill Balzer. I'll second it.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded,
And
motion carried.
then I'll motion, we send a letter to Minister Kim Masland outlining the significance of having proper cell coverage.
And we copy Jill on that as well?
And copy
I was
Jill.
copy.
And I'll leave Jill Balzer on that also.
Is there?
Would
Thank you.
we copy the MP for the Canadian Radio and Television and Communications Commission? Would we copy
We should do a separate letter for them.
Well,
It's gonna be different.
it's a whole different
Funding.
Yeah.
But, the federal purvey, maybe, just like the
thing. So,
ministers of the provincial.
okay, let's go back on the one we're doing, then we'll go back up on that one. Okay, so there was a seconder, which was Angela, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. So what you were asking now, David, on that first motion is we didn't copy it to anyone.
Yeah.
And you're wondering if we should,
Copy it to
copy it to
the
Chris Dontremont, as the MP. Probably
Yeah.
wouldn't hurt.
Wouldn't hurt.
Good idea. If the mover
agree
and
too.
seconder agree to that.
Yep.
No, we can have it as an amendment.
Right,
And
as an amendment.
I meant.
For that
Are you making
amendment?
an amendment?
Can we vote on the amendment?
Yes, we're gonna vote on the amendment.
We'll make the amendment.
So amended.
That we'll send a copy,
You copy Chris
a
Dontremont.
copy to, yeah. Is there a seconder to that amendment?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. And now the original motion has been amended, and now I'm gonna ask, are you all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Good job,
So-
Linda.
When you moved, you amended.
That was a complicated one,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, the next is the Weymouth Water Fountain.
I don't remember reading that one.
Nope. So whenever it says for discussion, it's to prevent people from saying, I don't remember reading anything on that. So it means I attach nothing to the package, that I'm just going to talk about it. So the Village Commission had approached us a little while ago with, there's some challenges at the Weymouth Water Fountain site. We coordinated a meeting to kind of discuss about it, and just one meeting. But in order for me to be comfortable kind of participating in this file, I just wanted a bit of permission or direction from this group that I keep working on it. So the Village Commission is ready to play a role. The issue is they're looking to try and get the site away from the edge of the road a little bit, to make some site improvements. The village has opened up discussions with the owner of the property. TIR has helped us out by figuring out and surveying where the edge of the property is. So at this point, there's no finances being discussed, there's no project, but you can probably guess, if I'm getting involved in the discussion, that it's the starting stage of a project, and it will connect back to us at some point for a funding request. I have not indicated or committed us to any funding, but my presence working on the file will imply we have a role. So just before we go any further on it, wanted to put it in front of everybody. TIR is aware of the current site. Not only does it create traffic issues, the drainage at the site and ice issues aren't great at the site and on that part of the road. So there is some games to be played and a few people involved in the discussions. The MLA's office is also aware of these discussions and efforts for a project at the site. So just looking for if you're any questions, but if you're in agreement, just a simple motion that I keep working with the Village of Weymouth.
I move that Jeff, oh, well, you should.
We'll move that Jeff continue working on the, water seat.
I was at the meeting and, I think everybody was in line of trying to make it better, because the concern is there's not really enough pull off with it.
Yeah, there isn't really, no.
When it gets slippery, like water or whatever. That was a, you want
Could certainly be
I think,
improved.
yeah, that's the thing. You
The
want-
Weymouth Water for All is a tradition that they can carry. Even Prior Islanders driving by, like, whoa, there's all this water driving the garden. It would be a terrible day if you couldn't pick up nice fresh water in Weymouth, even if it's only a short 150 kilometer round trip.
It's well worth it.
Oh yeah, it's great water.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the Part1 school request. They have asked us to give them back what they had to pay for the permit building fees. I guess you're gonna
You wanna
answer
go
what I
or-
wanna know.
So this has been a question that was asked since the very beginning of this project.
Yeah,
There was hints that at some point, they would come back and ask. So originally, when all those conversations, they just talked about waiving the fees. So we can't waive a building to permit fee for one organization, and then, so that's why this request has come in this way. They had reached out to me, and I said, you can't ask us to waive the fee. If you ask us for a financial request to cover the fee, so the fee hasn't been paid yet. So this we're entertaining almost as a grant organization, right?
Yep.
Compass is a non-for-profit, so that's what the project is in under. So this was a way of showing our support for the project. Obviously, due to the size of the project, the building fee is a pretty good size there. I'm trying to read through my fuzzy glasses. $3,102. I do think on a project that we know is going to be struggling with construction budgets and everything else and the discussions around housing, it would be nice if we could look at approving this, but I also understand if anyone wants to have any discussions.
I just wanna make sure there's enough money in the grants program. Okay, and David, your question?
Oh, so you're thinking of taking the money out of the grants
It
to
has to.
organizations?
That's the only way it can happen.
Ah, interesting. And these little things add up, and a bunch of small bills become a big one very quickly, especially these organizations. Like we saw at that meeting where 70-80% of their capacity is spent exclusively on grants instead of 80% of their cap. Is that my kid? I'm sorry, ADD there. Oh, what?
I thought I heard
It might be. My kids are supposed to be studying.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Now, where was I? It just got.
You were saying about the,
Suspicious.
a little bit of bills, you build up.
Oh yeah, it adds up to a lot. I wish there was. Yeah, I wish there was more we could do, but I'm sure they'll have more for us to do in the future. So I'm definitely in support of this.
George, go ahead.
Do these permits and things that we issue them run out like after a year or 2 years?
Yep.
So when's the permits that we originally?
That permit we've never issued a building permit, right?
Okay.
So their date with us legally right now, I'd have to check to see, it's either September 1st or September 30th, 2024 is their deadline to be in there. That's why they reference, I believe somewhere in this letter, they reference September. Yeah, completion is September 2024, because I keep talking to them about September 2024 being a very, that's on the legal documents when we transfer the property, that if it's not done by then, we give them the extension. September 2024 is the extended date. So that's why it's in that letter.
Well, this is a good step forward.
It is.
Definitely positive.
I motion to, use the, organization grants to give, $3,102.07 to the, new development, organization.
I'll second that.
Could be, Compass Nova
Compass
Scotia
Development.
Cooperative Homes Limited. Or the former.
Yeah, we've got it, it's going to Compass. I know it's on
Okay.
New Commons, wrote the letter, but it's going to Compass there.
I motion that the, grants organization money of $3,102.07, be approved to go to the, Compass Nova Scotia.
I'll second that.
Okay. So, you just want to make sure everybody has that right, and Compass Nova Scotia is the no name where it is Compass Nova Scotia Cooperative Homes Limited.
I wish we had a way to help the, oh, sorry. I wish we had a way to help these housing organizations beyond one-off community grants, like some sort of.
But we are, we
Policy
gave them the building.
I know, but
We maintained it all these years.
I'm just thinking going forward, if we're gonna be doing a lot of stuff for housing.
So this would be great to use the next couple of months to refine your thoughts, and coming up on budget time.
Yeah.
This would be the perfect kind of feedback we need when we're constructing the budget.
Some sort of set policy that we can present to these organizations so that they're not just coming to us, just to make things more streamlined and efficient, that's all.
Of course. That's why we're gonna have our thinking caps on.
I got my thinking caps on.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
Yeah, housing needs report, whoa, huh? There's only one.
The next is the housing needs report, Jeff?
So I'm not gonna go through the whole report, you've got it, it's
Yeah.
lengthy. What I wanted to highlight to you, so I'm not sure if you all felt the same way, but I was quite surprised by the numbers, for this area. I know we've been talking about housing, and I certainly know the area has housing needs, but the numbers as reflected in this report seemed very high, and talked to a few CAO colleagues in the region, and started to get a sense that there may be some themes with these reports, some very high, some very low. So I reached out and had an hour-long session with the Department of Municipal Affairs. Now, the Department of Municipal Affairs didn't do the report, which they paid for, and that's the provincial agency where the report was commissioned out of. So they acknowledged that in the rural areas, there was some major struggles with the report and getting the statistics needed to feed into it, and getting survey responses that were of enough to feed into it. So they didn't feed any of the local, you'll see, I think they reference 100 or 105 survey responses in it. They didn't feed those into this report because that wasn't enough responses to be statistically significant.
That many?
So,
Not significant.
what they're doing for us, because they seem to be very, very nice and acknowledging that the report wasn't perfect, so they're going through those surveys and are going to try and produce a little mini report for us out of those surveys as to what happened. They're going to take a look. They're aware that our housing report came showing huge need, and the adjacent town of Digby report showed no such need, if not a minor surplus right now with minor needs in 2027.
Fill it all year, I guess.
So they just wanted to look and see, they hadn't looked at that in context of like two areas that are that close and how the statistics and how the reports interacted. So they're going to look at that for us and try and provide some context. They used the terminology, they felt the report is a starting off step for us to work the next 2 years together to develop some statistics and tweak it into something that we have more confidence in. So, like I said, it was a very good conversation with them. It's maybe not the quality that we all hoped that we could move forward with something, either to start conversations with developers, funders, organizations working in housing in the community. But it's something to start the understanding. Some parts of it, the statistics are very accurate. The stats that came out of our building department and things like that, how many units we traditionally see go on the market. It's just when they started putting in the formulas of what we're seeing for population growth in the province, what's happening, there's some provincial trends and national trends that mathematically or statistically got reported. But I certainly encourage you all, like, take a good read through this. This will be something that we come back to in the coming year. And certainly if anyone has any questions.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
Commercial short-term rentals and regular short-term rentals. There's two types. One's like 150 and the other one's 44. What is a non-commercial short-term rental? Here, I'll see if I can find it up here.
You don't have a page by any chance?
Yeah, I do. Just give me a second. I'll find it here. All right, unique entire. All right, here we are. Page 13. Entire home. So it's total unique STR. So the total amount of short-term rentals, 79 in 2022, and 44 commercial. Is that in addition to? So is there 148 short-term rentals? Or is there 44? Or is there 104 total and 44 is out of the 104? Sorry, guys.
You're 13 and mine.
Yeah, I think we're on different pages. Dave, can you help?
Table 3.9 short-term rental activity.
Yeah, okay.
Inventory. Entire
Commercial at
STR short-term rental. And then commercial short-term rental.
Yeah, I think a hotel room would be a commercial.
Yeah, so those must be included, maybe. But doesn't that 80?
At the bottom of the chart, it gives like little.
Oh yeah, I don't have my glasses. That commercial is listed as available, or it is reserved more than 50% of the year. So people who don't bother doing it during the winter aren't on the list. So if you don't do it year round, then you only do it during tourist season. So that's, I don't know, that sort of.
So just,
So we have
you're
104
trying to understand whether the
Airbnbs.
104
And
includes
44
those
year round.
44 or not.
44 do the year round, and the others just do the presumably half a year, or less than half.
I can get clarity on that for you.
May to August or May to September. So that's significant. 104. Now we're starting to get a little bit closer. The only I can see why the province is talking about the app where you rent empty rooms, because there's a ton of houses with one person in it. And the other one I noticed is the 16% not permanent housing, that'd be summer people, of which maybe half would be suitable for winter and the other half wouldn't. So those are the only spots I really see anything to work with as far as stuff that's already here. But that is a little bit. 104 short-term rentals, or 148.
Yeah, no, I will definitely get clarity.
148 that's a lot of short-term rentals to knock loose, potentially. But really, the big ones, the 16% of them are the 2 week a year types. Think of that as like the Sandy Cove people. There's a lot of Sandy Cove folks that just here a few, like 2 or 3, 4 weeks. 4 weeks on the long side, 2 weeks on the short. So there is room. Except it doesn't belong to us. There is, I can see that the province is thinking. 148, interesting. And I noticed there was a drop. Is that because of the province requiring registration? So that helped a little bit. That knocked 20 people off, or 24 houses. Interesting. All right, sorry. There, I just ran forever. Come on, Angela, tell me what you think. Lots to think about in that. Lots of stuff in. I always find with these types of reports, you really got to dive into the numbers and try to figure it out. You can't just really read through it once and go, oh, I understand. No, it doesn't work that way. All right, I'm done with us. Sorry.
That's all right, no, I mean, that's what we're
Went on a
here for.
soliloquy there.
But those are good questions.
Those are the things that popped out.
Yeah, and I agree, I've got to read it over in more depth again.
It's short 800 units by 2027.
Yeah.
If we did all those things, we would have enough, but without building any, probably close to 16%.
Okay, the next, joint council meeting, Deputy Warden Ross.
Yeah, we talked with the town of Digby last week, we were up at NSFM. A lot of talk about housing and this and that, and they wanted to see if we could get a joint meeting together to talk about the issues. There's a lot to talk about. I think it would be beneficial.
Well, there was discussion,
Okay.
but this is, I think we're looking to reach out to them.
Yeah, well, we're gonna reach out,
I
they're reaching out to their council, from who I talked to, they wanted to have a joint council meeting.
Oh, so it didn't come to the mayor?
Yep, talking to, Mayor Cleveland, he,
I'm
suggested
just
it would
surprised
be a good idea.
he didn't go
So
through.
no
the
motions,
PAO.
we're looking to pass the first motion right
Oh,
now. No
okay.
other motions have been passed on having a joint council meeting.
I move, or you're entertaining motions on this?
Sure.
I move that, municipality district to be requested meeting, joint council meeting with the town of Digby.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. 4.7, Fundy Road, go ahead, sir. Is that about the,
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Take it away.
I was
as
going
I
to
think
talk to you after about it.
most of you are aware, saw in the news last week, news broke about the, on CBC, about the ferry potentially being rerouted after her refit this winter. So this became a kind of a fast-moving story at the conference,
Yeah.
and a lot of the other municipal units south of us had reach out happening already, because a lot of the trucking and some of the industry part that's affected by this are located in the very southern part of the province. So people were trying to understand where this is going, how they can provide support, or where letters should be sent. So I reached out and spent some time with Chris Donchemaw's executive assistant, and
Which one?
Joellen.
Okay.
And the path that they would like, if we are looking to write a letter, some units are doing that, is to send a letter to the Minister of Transport with our concerns and copy Chris's office on it. So this is something that they are contemplating, that after the ferry is done its retrofit, that it would stop in Magdalen Islands, the service that run between PEI and the Magdalen Islands.
Which could take 100 years, or?
Yeah, well, that
Never
ferry
even
goes
get
in for
back.
its retrofit.
Which could be months, or?
No, this
So
is the
it's
same
not
plan.
100% done deal, but it's certainly more than a rumor. This is a plan that exists within the department that there's starting to be some pushback on now, but there needs to be more pushback in order to change this plan.
This is outrageous. Yeah, it's like they're playing favorites of one part of the country over another.
They'll rent
We don't
another
count. We don't
ferry
count.
and use it.
I mean, we just went through a lot of work,
We get that.
dealing with, we got the ferry back, our previous warden, Jim Thurber, Peter McCullum was involved, various things. I mean, I know I was in on meetings as well, because it affects most of it affects my district.
It's gonna be big on the
It
loss.
affects the whole municipality. And when I heard about it, it's been upsetting.
Beyond the phone call, should the warden be phoning people?
Well, I think,
But,
sorry, go ahead.
no,
Beyond the phone call, should you be working the phones a bit?
I have been working with them.
Okay, good, making sure.
Actually, I had planned on, except for that stupid fire alarm, I had there was going to be a private, I hoped for a private meeting with one of the ministers that was there federally.
This is outrageous. It's outrageous, is what
Yeah.
it is.
But
It's
the
me
fire alarm
losing my
stopped
math
us.
teacher all over again. Except it's our ferry going to the more important, more connected area.
Motion,
This is a political
make a
decision.
motion to send a letter to Christy Entourage and Transport Canada or?
Transport Canada and copy Chris.
Okay, I make a motion to send a letter to Transport Canada and copy, Christie on Tremont.
A good angry letter, strenuous objection.
To keep our ferry here in Digby. Vital piece of our transportation.
Just when the season, lobster season starts.
When's the potential dates for the?
I think it was April through the start of June, I think was the rumor. Again, it's been difficult, it was difficult to do the news article, bro, to get anything confirmed. Chris has been working for a while.
Federal government, no friend of us.
It's a challenge.
Never our friend. Decades.
I'll second the motion. Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is a letter from the Minister of Municipal Housing and Affairs. Is there any questions? And do you think we should try to move it in camera
I
or?
was gonna leave it to your discretion if you wanted a little break in between the two.
Maybe I think we better take the break.
Okay, so,
I would ask for a motion for a recess until after the audit meeting.
Motion to go into recess.
Is there a second?
These were close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.